Athletes of all levels are eager to get back into their favorite spring sports, whether it's baseball, tennis, soccer, or any other sport. But after being off season for so long, quickly jumping back into a high intensity activity can put athletes at risk. Hi, I'm physical therapist Katie Wolfley, and today we're covering go-to exercises to help you perform your best in your spring sports and to keep you from preventing injury when doing the sports that you love. When we think about warming up for our sports, whether that be a throwing sport or a kick or run sport, we tend to think about putting a lot of focus towards our shoulders, maybe our knees or our ankles, because that's where we're doing our activity from. However, we tend to forget about our trunk, our hips, and our core, which are the primary area where we're going to drive all of our power and force from. So it's important that we incorporate all of those areas into our warm-up and our strengtheners, and that's what we're gonna do today to prevent you from injury. This first exercise is going to improve our thoracic mobility, or the rotation through our trunk, to prepare our upper body for any rotational movements, stretching through our core, and getting that shoulder ready to work. So we're gonna start in a half kneeling position, which means one leg is up, one leg is down. We're gonna have the front leg be closest towards the wall. And we're gonna start with our hands out in front so that my fingertips of my arm that is furthest away from the wall, touching the wall. You're gonna bring that arm up and overhead, keeping the fingertips in contact. And then we're gonna flip our palm when it is overhead, protecting our bony shoulder joint. And then rotating back, my chest can open, bringing that hand as open and as far as I can. Then you're gonna bring it right back. Again, your palm flips when it's right overhead so that your bicep is towards your ear, and then rotate it back through. You're gonna feel a nice stretch through the trunk. You're just trying to keep those fingertips there as best you can. For those of us who have some limitations, you're probably gonna pull away from the wall. Just keep that tall position in the trunk as you flip and rotate through, trying to get that hand back towards the wall. You're gonna go through this motion for 10 repetitions, and then turn yourself around to repeat on the other side. Our next exercise is going to work through strengthening the shoulder and shoulder blade complex. This will be especially important if we're working through a throwing sport, but even could be incorporated into the stability of our trunk in general. So even if you're doing a sport where, like soccer, you're kicking, running a ball, having more of that stability and support through the entire trunk in terms of that upper shoulder can be helpful and important. So we're gonna do this with a resistance band. I'm gonna put this underneath the opposite foot to whatever arm I'm strengthening. I'm gonna wrap the band around my fist until it's at a comfortable amount of resistance. I'm gonna start with my thumb at the front pocket. You're gonna bring that arm up and out. I'm gonna bring my elbow to shoulder height, and at that position, then I'm going to let my elbow bend, and I'm gonna bring my arm back into that throwing motion. And then very slowly and with control, you're going to allow that hand to rotate down, elbow staying at shoulder height, and then bring it back down to the pocket through that resistance. So again, bringing it up, elbow at shoulder height, rotate up into that throw position, rotate the hand back down, and then slowly release through the shoulder. Depending on whether you're working through endurance for a long sport or you need more power, you're either gonna work through 3 sets of 10 or maybe 2 to 3 sets of 15. And don't forget to do it on both sides. Even if you are working your dominant arm for the sport, we wanna have nice symmetry in the body. Our next exercise that we're gonna work on is a single leg RDL, or Romanian deadlift. This is gonna strengthen the hip complex while we're standing on a single leg, which we're pretty much all gonna do while we're either in a throw position or ready to kick. So you're gonna grab your weight, and we're gonna stand on whatever leg we're most comfortable working on. We're gonna have a gentle bend in the knee. I am keeping the weight in my opposite hand. I need your shoulder blades back and together so we're keeping a nice tall chest because the spine is gonna try and stay flat. I'm gonna keep all the weight through that stance leg, and we're gonna gently bow forward, keeping the back flat and allowing the knee to bend as we need to, but we're also sitting into this glute. From there, you're gonna pull up tall, try to keep that balance. You're really working through that glute and a little bit through the hamstring as well, but not relying on that hamstring. So again, chest up tall, weight in the opposite hand, gently bowing forward, back flat, letting the knee bend as you need to, and keeping your pelvis level to the floor. So trying to imagine that your belt buckle stays parallel to the ground. And you can even put your thought process into the back foot, making sure that your toe doesn't turn out, but that your toes point straight down to the ground as we go through that forward motion. You're gonna do this for 10 repetitions at a time, 2 to 3 sets, and make sure you're working on both sides equally. This next exercise is gonna help us improve our strength through the core and the hip complex. So especially if we're doing a sport where we're throwing, hitting, we need that power through our hip and our core, so we're gonna use them together at the same time. So you're gonna grab a weight that we're gonna hold with 2 hands, center of the chest. We're gonna take the feet hip width apart and keeping that weight close to you because we just want that added to the spine itself as opposed to working out here through the shoulders. Keeping it in tight, we're gonna pivot and rotate as far as we can towards our right, making sure that your left heel comes up and you're rotating on that toe. It's gonna give me rotation through the standing hip so that I can also power through it as I go back the other way. And going the other way, making sure I pivot and rotate on the opposite toe as well. So that weight is just moving with you through the trunk. We're gonna move with control. So I don't want you to take this too fast so that you're really just throwing your spine through momentum. You're thinking about your midsection being a cement brick wall. So it moves as one piece, and we get that rotation through a little bit of the shoulder blades and through the hip complex, as opposed to us just standing still and twisting through the spine. You're gonna go left and right, counting as 1 repetition, working through 10, and doing 2 to 3 sets. Our next exercise is going to take us through a little bit of a cool down and a mild stretch. There's so many things you can take through your cool down and stretches that you should definitely do throughout all the muscle groups. However, we wanted to incorporate this one because it gives us a little bit of stretch through our quads, the back of the hips, our low back, and you can even put a little bit into the shoulders. So incorporating a little bit of that total body, and one that you probably wouldn't typically think of that most of us would like to do after finishing our sports. We're gonna go into child's pose. So starting down on the knees so that your hips are sitting back towards your feet as far as comfortable. We're gonna take the hands out in front, reaching them far to get a nice stretch through the shoulders. If it's more comfortable for you, you can always take the knees wider and keep your feet together in the back, still sitting back towards the heels, and let the arms reach forward. Keeping your fingertips reaching away from you as far as possible. You can stay here in this active stretch, reaching front to back for 30 seconds. You can also take it into a variation where we get more of the side body by walking your hands over towards the left edge, hand over hand, and sitting the shoulders down towards the floor as far as comfortable, remaining here for 30 seconds. And it can become an even better stretch when you're incorporating breathing into this. So when you're down in that position, thinking about trying to fill air into the back of your rib cage or thinking that you're pulling that into your shoulder blades can be a really great way to make it an even deeper stretch. And again, you have 2 sides of you, so instead of just walking over to the left, hand over hand, you're gonna also take that stretch over to the right, hand over hand, and stay there for 30 seconds. Great exercise to help cool down the entire body and even get your nervous system to relax. Incorporating these exercises into a routine can make a huge difference this season, so give them a try. But if you're finding that you need a little bit more or you're looking for more ways to really improve your game, then get in touch with us. You can get an eval at buffalorehab.com. And as always, thanks for watching.